Bruce founded Bruce founded Adam Smith Esquire in 2002 and has published nearly 2,000 articles on topics which include strategic prioritization of practice areas, globalization, leadership, finance, mergers and acquisitions, and partnership structures. He is a sought-after speaker and frequently appears at law firm retreats around the world. And I guess that's perhaps a bit of a hint. His experience includes a securities and corporate lawyer in New York and also in-house with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter on Wall Street for a decade. His academic background includes an economics BA at Princeton University and a JD from Stanford Law School. Today's topic is Maroons and Grey, which best describes your firm. As you all know, conventional law firm groupings lump together firms with vastly different client bases, practice specialities, geographic footprints, and profitability all together. No industry ranking reflects the competitive dynamics on the ground. To address this lack of economic rigor, Adam Smith Esquire has developed what they call Maroons and Greys market segmentation and provide you with some of the key pointers as to how your firm can become a rainbow firm. So that's enough from me. Bruce, if you'd be kind enough to share your screen and take over. Thanks very much.
Well, it is my pleasure to take over. What I would like to do, well, I got to figure out the right screen to show. What I would like to present is the basically the going through quickly this platform and this theory and what still isn't quite working. I've got to get the right thing here. Sorry about this. Patrick gave us a great introduction here because we did feel a tremendous sense of frustration at the existing segmentation of the industry, and we decided that we could do better. So without further ado, I want to emphasize on this slide that we're talking about we're making a stronger claim than two different business models. We're claiming that the legal industry has segmented into two different businesses, meaning they really do not compete with each other. And this is critical for you to know where to place your firm on this mental map, which clients understand intuitively, even if they haven't articulated it. It is not based, as Patrick said, on size, on revenue, on American, UK, EMEA, whatever. Those are really completely irrelevant in this model as far as we're concerned. We tried to find a terminology that would be neutral. I mean, things like alpha and omega and black and white and up and down obviously didn't work in the US. Even you would think the anodyne red and blue. No, they don't work. We originally toyed with shirts and skins, which for those of you who've ever been to New York may recognize as the way teams divided themselves for stickball on the street, but we came up with Maroons and Greys. So the Maroons, you'll recognize this concept very quickly. They have a real destination capability. Price is not really an object, and the engagements that they are given tend to have boardroom visibility or to be very important. The Greys are kind of everything that the Maroons are not. And I think this phrase summarizes it nicely. It's run the company, not bet the company legal advice. Being an economist by training and also a fan of Michael Porter's 5 Forces, which you'll see in a minute, I am fond of asking myself, what is the scarce resource for each of these firms? In other words, what are they willing to pay for? And of course, as a management consultant to the industry, I also have to ask what the threats might be. For the Maroons, I think we all know Legal Business and Legal Week report on the comings and goings of partners from Kirkland and Latham to the Magic Circle to the high-end Hong Kong, Singapore, and mainland China firms. Every day, it's the talent wars. And the threat is the reverse of that, a run on the bank. For the Grays, it doesn't have that much to do, frankly, with lawyers. It has to do with process optimization and things that, for example, the Big Four, not to name names, seem to be good at. Competitive set, if they're two different businesses, they have two different competitive sets. The Maroons are competing with each other. There are a known set of players. I could ask everybody on this call or Lockbeer to set up a new poll and ask you to name, 10 Maroon firms globally, and I bet 8 or 9 of the 10 you would agree on who they are. It's a known consideration set. It's a finite set. For the Grays, they compete, of course, with other Grays, but they also compete with in-house. We can do this ourselves with what we call new law or the alternative legal service providers, with the Big Four, and with fluid forces of fluid combinations of all of those. I promised you Michael Porter's 5 forces model. He's a famous Harvard Business School professor. This was probably his single most famous model. So here it is. Obviously, you've got rivalry among existing competitors. You've got the threat of new entrants, threat of substitute products, bargaining power. So what does this look like to the Maroons? Well, we submit it looks like this. New entrants are not really a threat. Client bargaining power is off the table. Money's no object. Remember, there is no substitute. But the one threat to them is talent. Lawyers are your supply and clients are your demand. So the bargaining power of your suppliers is a threat if you're a Maroon. How high is the sky? 3 million, 5 million, 10 million a year? So let's flip this around and look at the Grays. And trust me, we didn't plan this, but I think it is conceptually correct. It is the exact opposite to the Maroons. Good enough lawyers are fine. They don't have a lot of bargaining power. They're not superstars. They're not Raj Cohen. Threat of new entrants, huge. Outside law land. Client bargaining power is a big deal. That's the whole premise of the fact that you're a Gray. And threat of substitutes is huge. So what are the implications for these firms? Well, if you're a Maroon, it's really pretty simple. And forgive me for being blunt here, but it's don't screw it up. It's a known model. The most important thing you can do is recruit first-year draft picks, as a friend of ours says, out of the leading law schools in the world, and train them to practice at the very highest level. Now, this doesn't mean quality, consistency, reliability are no object. They are an object. In fact, that may be Toyota's claim to fame. They would be a Gray, so to speak. But Mercedes, let's stipulate that they're a Maroon in this model, needs to be really, really good at quality too. It's just not the threshold issue. Again, flipping it, what about the Grays? It's really this phrase which makes lawyers crazy, but I'm sorry, you're going to have to get used to it. A business-like approach. You need to hire high-level business professionals, CFO, COO, IT, marketing, HR, process optimization, project management, all of those things, and not just give them a seat. We have literally been in boardrooms all over the world, the City of London, Hong Kong, Wall Street, where the lawyers sat at the conference table, the business people sat at chairs around the wall. That's not going to cut it. They need to have a voice at the table. Diversity is a big deal here in the States, if not around the world increasingly. We are enormous fans of diversity, but we particularly think for law firms, what's important is intellectual diversity. You know, have some finance people, some engineers, who knows, some user interface experts, yes, lawyers, but also MBAs and operational geniuses. Strategic client management is critical, business intelligence, what's going on. I think you know these things. It's also important that your firm is really clear-eyed about what kind of a firm you are. And Patrick has been kind enough to give you all an ample opportunity to discuss this in the second half of our program tonight. Managing partner of a sort of Anglo/Asian firm, a couple of thousand lawyers. When he saw this, he said, well, we're a rainbow firm. Well, good luck with that. Can firms excel at both? Probably not really excel at both. You can do both. You can focus on one and do the other around the margins. Firms that you would not think of as maroons sometimes get maroon caliber work from clients, but they are very loyal long-term institutional clients. What if you're going to do both? Well, you've got to run two businesses under one roof. I mean, I don't see any way around it. You have to have the superb legal practitioners who are billing, you know, in multiple thousands of dollars or pounds or whatever per hour. And they are type A plus high maintenance people. But you also need to have the business process gurus who are into, yes, you know, you need to provide 99.9% reliable legal services, but you got to realize that's not why clients are coming to you. We're a big fan of, there's no bad news in your business model. You just have to know who you are and run it right. So here's the final slide. This is your secret, the secret ingredients to running it right. So it's a simple 2x2 quadrant, maroons and grays, well run, poorly run. For the maroons, it's a pretty, frankly, trivial couple of quadrants to draw. I said, don't screw it up if you're well run, and I will repeat that. If you're poorly run as a maroon, I really think you need to plan on a little management transition, or you're not going to be a maroon for very long. We promise on the homepage of our website that we will tell our clients what we think, and I just told you what I think if you're a poorly run maroon. The poorly run grays are sort of a wasting asset, but the most interesting quadrant of the four to us by far is this top right quadrant, which we call the superb grays. We think it is a powerful, sustainable business model, which is pretty thinly populated right now. It is absolutely our favorite quadrant. The big four would be in this quadrant were they law firms. A lot of the new law companies aspire to being in this quadrant. Clients get it. You will have barriers to entry if you really are a superb gray, because it's a tough business to build and to manage. And I will leave you with a quote from one of our favorite British statisticians. He lived to be almost 100, as you can see. All models are wrong. Some models are useful. Lawyers can find fault with anything. God bless you. All models are wrong. We maintain that this model is useful. So without further ado, we will give you back to Patrick.
Really very much enjoyed that.